Hey guys, I want to share with you an old tool of mine called Pro-Boolean, and it's a live Boolean tool for Maya for versions 2019 to 2022. The way it works, you just select the main body that you want all the booleans to be executed on. So in my case, it's this cube, and I want to subtract all these spheres. So I'm just going to click on difference, and immediately what we got here is our wireframes, just to see, our the Boolean actions here, so we can just adjust the sizes of these if we want to. And when we're happy, we can just select and bake it. Now, if I undo, you'll notice here that I have the Boolean number. So what happens here, when I create a Boolean, I get a Boolean tag number for that Boolean for each object. And all these objects that are performing the Boolean have the same number ID over there. That means that these are all linked to each other. So when I perform the Boolean operation, it gives me this number. So it knows, okay, this object has 4 Booleans on it. And I can choose to hide it. So I hide all, or I can show all. I can still adjust these to my liking. But I can also cycle. So if I select my object and click on cycle, so that's the first Boolean, cycle again, second, third, and fourth, or I can control click and I will like go backwards, 3, 2, 1. And yeah, so if you have other objects, so like select this one and do another difference operation there, you'll see that this has a different number than this one. And this number here matches its own like master Boolean group here. And that means if I hide all, I can only select the show the selected one, all the Boolean operations that are like linked to that one, or I can like show all, or I can cycle. When I cycle, it's always hiding everything and only cycling the object that I selected there. So if I go here and cycle, it's going to hide that, and it's going to show that, and I can cycle here as well. So let's talk about the different types of Booleans here. So we saw the difference one. So if I like unhide all, let's show all here. We have union. So I'm gonna like move this here. Okay, let's give it a Boolean bevel. So I'm gonna do a union intersection here. That is it. That's really hard to see what's happening here, but like you get color-coded information. So like the red wireframe here indicates that's a subtraction Boolean, and the pink color here indicates that it's a union. So to better see the union operation here, I'm just gonna like hide all, and I'm gonna go in X-ray mode, and there I can see better what's happening here with my union operation. And of course I can like show selected. I can like then select my Boolean object, move it around, and deselect and hide all again. That's my operation. If you made a mistake and you wanted to like change this operation from a Boolean difference to a Boolean union to a difference, like you can just shift click the cycle button with the Boolean selected. So if I go back and show all and I select my object, I'm going to go outside X-ray mode so you can see better what's happening. If I shift click, it's going to go to intersection difference, sorry. And then if I shift click again, it's going to go to intersection there. And I can shift click and like change the operation that's happening here. Of course, if you have multiple bevels, if you have multiple Booleans on your object, that's going to affect everything in your cycle. So you want to be more careful about what's going on there. Yeah, if you ever change your mind and you want to like see a Boolean difference, you can always change it with the cycle button. I'm gonna hide all again. There we have it. Next is the intersection. So I'm gonna click intersection and That is a yellow coded one, and here's what we get with it. So here, this Boolean here, so if I cycle, that's the first one, that's the second one. So it has two Boolean IDs there, two Boolean meshes that are operating on this object. Show selected, it's going to show both of them. So now let's have a look at the panel operation. So if I select these two meshes and click on the panel operation, I'll get this here. But what this essentially is, it might look like one operation, but it's actually two. And if you query this here, the number of Boolean operations that are acted on this mesh, you'll see it gives you two. And what it essentially means is like one is there's two operations happening here. One is difference, so you difference this by this object here, and the other one creates a duplicate of this mesh, of the initial mesh, and gives you an intersection Boolean between those, and the combination of those two will give you that panel here. And here's a different version of the panel operation. So if I select these two meshes and control click on the panel button, you'll see now we got one operation here. So if I query it, here it's one, and here should be two. Okay, and what happens here is that our mesh here is just a subtraction mesh, as you see by the color, but it has a extrusion here. So if I go here on the offset, let's find it. Oh, that's not the offset. The thickness, sorry. So I push the thickness there. It works both ways. You can do it inwards, outwards. You can do a little shell though if you want to with your mesh, but there you go. There's another panel operation for you. But yeah, so those are the basic operations, and let's talk about the clean operation. So before I talk about the cleanup operations here, I just want to mention that every time you create a Boolean using the Pro-Boolean tool here, a Pro-Boolean master folder is created, which contains all the Boolean operations that you create through your entire scene. So if I expand on this, you'll see that they have different naming conventions based on what original operations happen there. So if you cycle the operation here to do something different, it's not going to change the name for that folder, so keep that in mind. So if I cycle back here to difference, so yeah, so there's two ways to clean up this folder after you do, like, you want to commit your Booleans. So the basic one is the bake button here that we have. So if I click on this and click on bake, so that's bakes all the stuff, deletes all the Boolean operations with it. Same with this one. And now your master folder is empty. Okay, that's one way of doing it. If I undo, if I control click here, then I also retain the Booleans created, but also retain all the Booleans with it, so I can do whatever I want with them. Let's undo that here. So yeah, the manual way of doing it would be to select these meshes, delete the history, and then if I select all the Boolean operations here in the viewport, I can just delete them. And yeah, so what happens here is we've deleted all the meshes here, so these are empty groups now. And if this is your preferred way of working, you might end up with a lot of groups here that don't do anything. So with nothing selected, if you click on the clean button, it's gonna like do a cleanup pass in that folder and remove everything that's not associated with any Boolean on your objects, any live Booleans. So if I undo here, so that's the so with nothing selected, that's gonna like clean up the folder. But if you have something selected and you click on the clean button, that's gonna remove the Boolean tag number ID here. So if I let's do it on this mesh. So if I select all of these ones and I hit on the clean, so now these are no longer have the Boolean ID number. So if I query this, nothing's gonna happen because this is no longer associated. Like the Boolean tag ID number that we create here, this number here, is used so all these operations with the Boolean numbers and stuff can work. So now that this is not associated anymore, it's not going to work for us. But we can reinstate all of that by control clicking on the clean button. So if I control click, I got that back. I have 4 booleans with this mesh, and I'm good to go and continue on working with this stuff. Another use case for this is let's see what happens if I have this boolean mesh here and I duplicate it. You'll see that the boolean tag number is also duplicated. So I have the same number here and here, which means if I create a boolean here, right now, and I query this, it says 5. So I have, and if I cycle through these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you see that this is also taken into account for this mesh, and this is this happens because these meshes have the same idea as these meshes here. So if I want to like disassociate the disassociate this boolean from this one, I can just select the meshes and control click, and that will create a new set of ID numbers here. And now if I query this, well, automatically says it's 1. So now I can like go here, query this, and it's 4. Go here, it's 1. So it's a way of working, branching off essentially from another boolean, without having to like, okay, now I want to cycle for these meshes. I want to cycle through these, but I'm also cycling there. So like, just control click, and now this is its own entity. And show all. Keep that in mind when you're working. Another area worth mentioning is if you ever want to use these meshes, but because they're in wireframe mode, they're kind of annoying and you don't have the shaded mode. The documentation explains how to do it manually through the attribute editor, but if you control alt click on the clean button, that will just set it in shaded mode, and you can just toggle that, go back and forth with these meshes. One final thing I want to mention is if you you can access the UI menu by control clicking here on the hash button. This will bring up the hotkeys, the PDF documentation, and the store if you want to access any other tools and stuff. But with the hotkeys, you'll get these that you can bind on a on a hotkey, or you can just middle mouse drag it on a shelf. Make sure select Python, then you can select and then click, and then you get the same stuff here happening. It's useful if you're like working, you want to work faster without having the UI to constantly go back and forth. But yeah, that's it. Thank you all for watching the video, and thank you for your support, and have a nice day.